Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents, the first of two COTC podcasts ahead of Double Gameweek 26. And I'm delighted to say we've got our Liverpool and Leeds United correspondents join us ahead of the double for both teams. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Liverpool correspondent, Dan Lord. How are you, Dan?
Yeah, I'm good, James. Nice to see you again. Hello, Andy.
Hi, Dan. All right, mate.
Good man. Always a pleasure. And our Leeds correspondent, Andy Martin, is delighted to be here following the performance at Everton at the weekend. How are you, Andy?
Yeah, delighted. I've avoided speaking about it all weekend, and now I'm sat here, got to discuss it. So, yeah. Cheers for having me, James.
It could be worse. The Tottenham fan could have also lined up a COTC with Arsenal and Wolves still to come this week. But anyway.
Dan, I'm just going to have you, mate.
I'm well aware, mate. Dan, the title race, is it still on for you in the first instance, mate?
Yeah, I think it's still on. I mean, it's, you can't see City slipping up, to be honest, but, while it's still doable, I'm sure they'll still believe. So, yeah, absolutely.
You've got a good run of fixtures coming up, haven't you? Two of them obviously in game week 26, but it's a good run of fixtures for you to try and close the gap ahead of the game week 32 meeting between yourselves and City is probably going to be critical, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think so. I think 4 of the next 5 are home. So yeah, it's a decent run. And like you say, Norwich, Leeds in there. United's one of them teams, and West Ham, who we lost to already this season, and Brighton's the other. So the next 2 definitely, but 4 out of 5 home is nice, isn't it? Before we get City, and that could be decided whether the title race is still on come then, I think.
The problem is City have got good fixtures as well, haven't they? So all you've got to do is just keep winning and keep hanging in there. I think if you lose points on them before now on 32, you're going to struggle to make up the ground, really, even if you went there and won. I think you've got to go there with sort of the 6-point-ish gap or so if you win the game now. Is it 9-point gap at the moment, I want to say?
Yeah, 9 with a game in hand.
Yeah. So if you win both in the double, reduce it to 6 points. The idea being then you reduce it to 3 when you go to the Etihad, and then you're relying on the running, aren't you, where strange shit can happen at that point.
Yeah. We'll keep believing until it's no longer on. At least we're pushing them, aren't we? I'm glad that Liverpool have been the last few seasons. Otherwise, the lead had been dire, wouldn't it? It'd just be City winning it all the time, and no one really competing for the last 3 or 4 years. So, yeah, we'll see.
Is this a good season off the back of what happened last year, kind of over the winter period and stuff? Do you look at it, even if you end up finishing second, is it a vast improvement on what happened last season?
Yeah, absolutely. From last season, yeah. And, finishing second, although it's disappointing you finish in second, if it does turn out that way to a very good City side. And Klopp seems to have been kind of pushing on other levels this year, where he's usually just dismissed the other cups. Maybe he's, I don't know, changed his way of thinking. He's put strong sides out in the FA Cup. He has played kids sometimes, but, a mixture of both. And obviously we're in the League Cup final, which he usually tosses off as well. So, and obviously Champions League is still there as well. And we're a good cup side. We can beat anyone on our day. So that's not beyond the realms of possibility of winning that.
Andy, as a neutral, any thoughts on Liverpool? Can they chase them down, do you think?
I think they can. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, City only need to slip up a couple of times, and there's no reason why Liverpool can't win all the remainder games. I think they're 2 of the best sides in Europe. So we could have a title race, and hopefully it does go to that Liverpool-City game. I'd like to see it. But yeah, there's no reason why Liverpool can't keep winning and City maybe slip up twice, but it's a tough ask still. But hopefully we'll see a title race, yeah. Be good.
And for yourself, Andy, are you looking over your shoulder for Leeds?
Still no, because the teams in the bottom 3 are so terrible, I think, still. There's a big enough point difference and goal difference. Like, we're 6 points above Norwich. I think they've played a game extra, and our goal difference is better. So it's like 7 points with the game in hand. I'm still not thinking about relegation. I still think we have enough to get kind of 3 wins, 3 draws, which will get us to 35 points. And I think that will be enough to keep us up this year with the teams that are down there. I can't see Burnley, Watford and Norwich getting to 35 points. And I think we can get 3 wins together. It's when the games come round against Norwich and Watford, we need to win those games. to
We
be all right.
probably, is it a fair assessment, Andy, to say with your team that you're capable of winning any game, but capable of losing any game?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. You just can't tell whatever fixture. It could be Man City, it could be Watford. You think we could win it, we could lose. Bielsa keeps playing the same way and doesn't change. So yeah, it's not, the fixture doesn't worry me too much. It's just, the results aren't coming fluently as they were last year.
No, you're on 23 points from 23 played, and I agree with you. I think that if you maintain the point per game, I agree with you. I don't see the bottom three getting to 38 points. I think that would definitely be enough. To be honest, I think probably 35, 36 or probably cut it to stay up. I guess the concerning ones may be Burnley with this kind of period of double doubles where they catch you up a little bit. They're currently 9 points behind you, but obviously 2 games in hand. They've obviously got to win them. Their goal difference is better than yours as well. That kind of gives them almost an extra mythical point against the other teams around them. Theirs is best other than Everton are on -10 with 22 points from 22. They're also at a point per game. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Although it doesn't look great at the moment, a point per game is going to be absolutely fine. And
I mean, the worrying thing is our next 3 games, I can't see us getting a point. I mean, we got you guys, maybe.
I was going to say, Andy, the third game in game week 27 is Tottenham at home, and I really wouldn't shit yourself at the moment about that, mate. But okay, let's talk the double then. So, firstly, Manchester United for yourselves. Not fancy it then, no?
I think we'd be fancy. We'd be up for it. I think it helps at home, obviously, against our old enemies. The fact that we're just not good enough, the players aren't good enough that Bielsa's putting out. The quality of the players just isn't there. I still believe in what he's doing, what he's coaching, but you look man for man every game and you think, okay, he's a worse player than that player, he's a worse player than that player. And that was the same against Everton. You think, okay, look, we've got Dan James up top. Raphinha seems off it. It doesn't fill with confidence going into games.
Would you still have that faith in him if the team lineup gets announced on Sunday and Rafinha's not in it?
I think we always need Rafinha. I think Rafinha will start.
What happened on Saturday? Why was he withdrawn, mate?
I think against Villa, he's really quiet. I've never seen him as quiet as I did against Villa. Maybe his head's not in the right space. Maybe something was said at half time. Maybe he had a little comment to Bielsa or something. Maybe he was just frustrated and Bielsa was not having it. Is my thought. There's no reason to take Raphinha because he can create anything at any time. But maybe Bielsa being 2-0 down thinking, and then maybe Raphinha's shown a frustration or done something and Bielsa's like, right, I'm not having it. I'm the coach of this team. I'll take you off.
If that's happened then, though, there surely is a possibility he doesn't start. He's very principled, Bielsa, isn't he?
Yeah, he is very principled. But I'd hope the fact that he's a key man, he's kind of, look, I'm in charge. I'm taking you off. I'm still the boss of this team. You're not the man of this team. But I don't know. I'm reading perhaps too much into it. But I think that Raphinha will still start. And I think perhaps he's learned his lesson to not question Bielsa and let him coach the team.
Do you think he'll start?
I think he'll start, yeah. I think he looked frustrated against Villa. And I think it carried on to Everton in the first half. And perhaps it was just that. And maybe his head's not in the right place since coming back from the international break.
Well, there were some rumours that he came back with a niggle from international duty with Brazil as well.
He was yellow flagged as well, wasn't he? So it could be that as well.
His head was turned. There was a lot of rumours, weren't there, about a January move. Bayern was it was almost signed and sealed according to the press that it signed as a Bayern, which I thought was a bit weird considering they've got about 40 wingers.
Yeah.
You never know if he's a bit sulky about not having a January move or something.
I don't think he was sulky. I think he's before, but with all those rumours happened, he was like coming out and saying, I still love this club, I still love Leeds, saying all the right things. But it's kind of set up itself for summer. I think people were putting things into his mind, perhaps, but Leeds weren't having it. We weren't ever going to sell him in January. But summertime, I think he's gone. Yeah. So maybe that is in his head.
How much would you want for him, Andy?
60, 70.
Do you think you'll be in the bidding, Dan?
I don't know. I mean, they've obviously started this succession planning with people like Diaz. We've got quite an age, not aging, but everyone's pushing late 20s, 30 now. You know what I mean? We've got to start kind of bringing younger blood through, I suppose. Strong rumours that one of Mane or Bobby will probably go in the summer. So that we do need to freshen up. I think in that area we're a bit predictable at times, but whether it's him, you never know with Liverpool. You think they're watching someone and then they grab someone else. With Wolves, it was like it's Traore. Next thing, they make a bid for Jota, and it was like, nobody saw that coming. So who knows? I'd like it. I haven't seen much this year playing well, to be honest. But from last season, I'd have that Raphinha from last season, definitely.
I think for us as well, I mean, Liverpool will be a good move for him, be a good move for us. If we can do like something like 40 million and get Origi and Minamino, something like that in return, that would help our squad get a bit of cash in. I think it makes sense to go to Liverpool.
Talk to us about Luis Diaz, Dan. He had a very exciting debut against Leicester. He obviously didn't start at Burnley. How do you foresee his involvement over the next few months, remainder of the season, and how good do you think he is?
Well, firstly, he's quite close to home. My wife's Colombian, so the whole family's buzzing that we've got him. He's like the new, poster boy of Colombian football. Everyone loves him. Seen him a few times for Porto, obviously against us. He's always looked decent. And I think the two games he's played a part in, he's not looked out of place. I think he's got what it takes to play at Liverpool from what I've seen already. If you compare him to like the bit part appearances for someone like Minamino, it's uncomparable. He's straight in there. Good first touch, good movement, good strength for a skinny kid. I'm excited to see more of him. It's like rags to riches story, really, from where he's from. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, he's a super talent, good ball carrier, likes a shot. I've done a bit of analysis on him recently for our patrons, and he's very direct in his play. He's not a typical kind of winger in the sense that he's quite tall for a winger. Like, he's good in the air and stuff. You'll see that over the next few months or so. What do you fancy as involvement? Do you think that's a risk for Mane over the next few months, or do you see it a case of this is a good few months to bed him in as part of the squad with a view to starting him next season?
I think that, really. I think, bed him in, get him some minutes with a view to challenge properly next season. But, a little bit like Jota was, I suppose, where he's there to kind of cover and bed himself in, get minutes here and there and everywhere. But if he does enough to be, starting 11 and push Mane out, or I suspect it'll be Mane. He predominantly plays on the left, but I suspect he can play on the right as well.
I agree.
I think it's probably to bed him in, but he could push him out. Who knows?
And what have you made of Mane's season?
It's a bit hit and miss, really. I don't think he's as bad as people have made it out to be. He still puts the work rate in. I think he's just not been as clinical, and generally that's what you get from Mane. We've seen in stats before where, do we go Salah, do we go Mane? And it's like, can Mane keep this up? He's got 9 goals and 15 shots as opposed to Salah's, 12 goals and 150 shots. He's still a quality player. I've no issues with him. I think he's still great. And
it feels like the Diaz signing, though, is possibly a beginning of phasing him out. Is how it feels.
Possibly could be. I mean, it'd be nice to think that actually we're finally strengthening at the same capacity as City. Where you take a player out and you've still got a superstar to replace him with. The likelihood, the way FSG have worked over the last few years, that's not going to be the case, and maybe it is phasing Mane out, or maybe it's I don't know, prolonging Mane's career a little bit at Liverpool and not making him play 60 games a season, and having a bit of a share of the minutes there. But the likelihood it's the other one.
And Mo has obviously had an outstanding season. I can feel the FPL listeners breathing on my neck. Go on, James, ask him. Is he going to stick the triple captaincy on Mo Salah in 26? Are you doing it, Dan?
Absolutely. I think it. No, I don't want to talk about other managers. On paper, them two fixtures, it screams goals, doesn't it? Especially more so Leeds, I think, than Norwich. Norwich are a bit more resilient this year, but Leeds only have one way of playing, don't they? And that'll be open. And Salah, he didn't do much against Burnley, but he still looks good. I mean, he got the shit kicked out of him. Peters, let's face it, every time he got near him, he gave him a kick or something. I think he's been amazing this year, Salah. Unbelievable.
25 points across the reverse fixtures. You won 3-0 at Norwich game day 1, 3-0 at Leeds game day 4, a little bit influenced by obviously the red card in that fixture as well. But he's capable of that again, isn't he? A 25-pointer across these two fixtures.
Absolutely. I think you'll not get a better triple captain opportunity on paper than that this season. The top goal scorer in the NFL with two in the NFL FPL with two.
Would you up late last night, Dan, by chance?
Yeah. Again, two home fixtures against two teams that concede goals. A very informed player.
It feels like the Super Bowl of triple captaincy. I don't know if there's been a better opportunity in any FPL season than what the league table says to us, that these are the two weakest defences in terms of goals conceded anyway. He's got historical good returns against these clubs in the past as well. He definitely got a hat-trick against Leeds. Has he got one against Norwich before? I think he probably has, hasn't he?
I don't think he has.
He certainly had good returns against Norwich anyway.
Yeah. I think on paper it's a good fixture, isn't it? If he comes out of there with 6 points and you've got yourself 18, you'd be disappointed, wouldn't you? But if you don't do it, then you'll kick yourself because you think it was so obvious. If he comes out with a hole, you'll say, well, it was obvious, wasn't it? So you never know. But like we alluded to earlier, you never know which Leeds is going to turn up either. You might have a Leeds that suddenly turn around and spank us 3-1 or something like that. You've just no idea. But on paper, definitely, I'll be triple captaining him for sure. I don't even own him yet, but I'll be getting him in and triple captaining.
You won't be the only one doing that, Dan. Obviously, look, we're recording prior to your Champions League game against Inter Milan on Wednesday, so it's a little bit difficult to talk through the idea of potential rotation. But as it stands now, Dan, do you fancy him to play the majority of those two games, or can you see a rest against Norwich, for example? What is it Klopp referred him to as? What was the words he used? It was like a phenomenal fitness player, basically. Anyway,
yeah,
it's not a problem for him.
I mean, the physique of both of them wingers is unreal. I think. I can't see it. I can't see Salah wanting to miss out either. He wanted to play Thursday night. Even though he just got back from the African Cup of Nations, he's potentially on for his highest scoring Premier League season. There's a lot of records to break there, and I think in the back of her mind, he's thinking kind of Golden Boot territory as well, isn't he? And he's already
won that, hasn't he, Dan? He's on 16. I'm not sure anybody else is going to get to that.
Possibly not. But I think, while the title is still, achievable, it'd be stupid to rest him if fit, unless he is struggling with fatigue. I can't see him missing out. He might limit in minutes. He might play 60, 70 minutes. If we've put the game to bed, but he wants to play all the time, doesn't he? I've no concerns with him being rotated.
I suppose they all do, though, don't they, Dan? To that extent, I don't suppose it's going to be Salah, Mane, Jota as the front three in both games, is it? There's something's going to change.
Yeah, I suspect that probably Jota and Firmino will share minutes for sure, and I think maybe it obviously depends how the games go. I think Mane will probably start both, but depending on how the games go, I think Diaz might get some minutes out of there as well, and Salah as well. But it all depends on the games. If it's tight against Leeds or it's tight against Norwich, then they'll stay on longer, won't they? If they need to put the game to bed. I think they'll have half an eye on Inter, but I mean, I don't want to slate Italian football, but it's not great at the moment, is it? I don't think. Touch wood. I don't think they'll pose as massive problems.
Someone clip that. Cheers. Thanks. Andy, tell us. You're not doing it, are you? You're not going to triple captain Salah, are you?
Yeah, just on the point as well, Salah. I mean, because Dallas went off on Saturday with a knock, so he might not be up against Salah. Firpo probably won't make it either. So it's going to be Salah against a makeshift left back, which
tell us about
even more than him.
Is it Hjelder? Is it
Helder? Yeah, Norwegian guy. Still young, but looks okay, decent enough. But you wouldn't fancy Salah going up. Well, you'd fancy Salah going up against the rookie, wouldn't you? If that was the case.
Could he play? I mean, Straka's occasionally played left back, hasn't he? I presume against Liverpool, you'll play a back four.
Yeah, it could be CotC as well. I mean, CotC can play there, could play there if they decide to go that way. And I think they will go forward at the back. Maybe Harrison drops in as well to cover Salah. But whatever, I mean, it's not... Ideally, you want Dallas, who's got the energy and got the combativeness against Salah.
So he went off after about 8 minutes at Everton, didn't he?
Yeah, 9 minutes. And the thing is as well, with Dallas off, because he plays left back, but he's also a midfield option as well, because he comes into those positions. We lose that in midfield as well. So that's an even bigger miss.
I think you've massively missed him as an offensive midfielder this year, actually, in terms of, we've spoken about it before, the fact that he's the one midfield player that actually wants to run beyond. You've obviously, Bamford has been a huge miss for you.
I mean, Firpo was meant to be the guy, and we got rid of Alioski because Firpo was meant to be an upgrade, and it's just not worked out at all. He's been
What's wrong with Phillips, Andy?
What's that?
What's wrong with Phillips?
Knees and everything, like hips.
He's out to at least March.
Yeah, he's not back to
double. He makes a difference for Leeds.
Unbelievable. I say this every time I'm on here. Without Phillips, we just fall apart. You look at the Villa goals that they scored. I don't think they score those 3 goals if Phillips is in the team. They come from the position where Phillips would be on the edge of the 18-yard box, and he's always like blocking or intercepting and starting off the play. Like, we miss him massively. And I say this, I tweeted this last week. Like, it's 50% win percentage with Phillips in the team, and it's now down to like 15% without him. So it's just horrible. Yeah.
So why are you not triple captain Mo Salah next week?
I know it doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, for me, it's a great triple captain. You're not going to get better fixtures than this, but the bench boost is such a hindrance chip that it's fallen my way in this double game week, where I look at my bench and think, I've got a keeper that plays twice. I've got Dina at home to Watford and the 2 Brighton boys at home to Burnley. I don't think I'm going to be better set up for this. I know I could be late in the season with doubles and stuff, but it's always the weeks before leading up to it, you're trying to move people around, taking hits to get the perfect bench boost. But the way it's 26 has fallen, haven't really worked for it to get that bench boost in place. So for me, it makes sense to do it and then not worry about the bench boost in the future. Even though I think Salah's going to get 20 points. So
who's the keeper?
I've got Pope and Ramsdale.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah. And who are the 2 Brighton players?
Cucurella and Mope.
Yeah, that's as good as you're going to have it, really. Basically,
I know. So. Yeah, I look at that and think against the 2 worst teams.
It's a really interesting debate, because one of the things I've stressed is kind of thinking ahead with the idea. I mean, to be honest, if Brighton beat Burnley 2-0 at home, for example, I think you're locked in to have a bench that will surpass 20 with what you've got there. It could easily be that Burnley go there and win 1-0 and it's 4 points from the 2 Brighton players, and then Emmanuel Dennis ruins your Lucas Dean clean sheet, and then you're relying on the goalkeeper to do well.
They've got the Pope clean sheet if Burnley win 1-0, right?
Yes, that's very, very true, mate. I mean, would a 0-0 be ideal for you then? And you just take the 2 points from Mulpay, that would do. Yeah, I can get that completely, mate. No. I think there's definitely a case for saying that a lot of people are going to have benches this week, which will outscore Mo Salah. And I think you raise a very good point, Andy, about not worrying about it in the future. Just interested to ask, just because to be other people in similar situation, have you used that second wild card then?
No, I haven't used a second wild card.
Have you got a plan?
So my plan would be kind of 31, 32 to try and make the most of it going into the last 6-7 game weeks. Because I think those are bench boost will hold it back, wanting to make sure their team's good for 36 in the bench boost. I think that's where I'll benefit, where teams are struggling leading up to that wild card, kind of between the game weeks of 31 to 35, waiting for that wild card. Hopefully their teams will be a bit messy and a bit like needing the wild card. But using it a few weeks early and not worrying too much about the bench, I can concentrate on my first 11 with a team value of maybe 108 million.
Yep.
And look stronger in those weeks. That's my thinking.
The flip is, of course, triple captaincy is not going to, whenever it is or whatever it is, even if you used it on Salah in the future, is not going to look as good as it does now. No. Have you got any ideas for that, or are you just happy to wing it and wait for something?
Yeah, I haven't got really ideas. I mean, I don't expect my triple captain to outscore what Salah does in this double game week, but I think I'll make the points back when I use my wild card in the kind of those 3 game weeks leading up to 35. Is the plan. So even if I score what half of Salah does in this triple captain, I'm kind of happy if my bench boost can then match what Salah does this game week as well.
I think it's great that in spite of the fact there is such an obvious best captaincy this week, that people are playing it differently. I think it's great, actually, rather than it looking like, I mean, Salah's effective ownership is still going to be off the charts, but it's nice to know that not everybody's doing it. It also means there's going to be some value for the people who are doing it on Salah, because there are people like yourself thinking differently to go a different way. I don't think either strategy is particularly wrong.
No,
it depends how you set up, exactly as you've said, Andy.
And I wouldn't say triple captain Salah's a bad decision at all. Look at the fixtures. It's
have a word for yourself, mate.
Yeah.
I think, as Andy Let's Talk FPL said, if I don't nail my triple captaincy this time, I just give up with the chip permanently. And if Salah blanks in the double, it will feel like that, I think.
Oh, imagine if he limps off like Mane did a couple of years ago in the first game.
Don't, Andy. I'd triple captain Mane.
And he never gets injured. Does he, Salah?
And that's the problem, is I triple captained Mane in that week, and I then didn't buy Salah immediately in place of Mane, and it cost me over the 2 games. It cost me about 75 points just by going against Mo Salah. So there's probably a little bit psychological that I'm not going to go against him. But as you said, Dan, it's not that he's the best choice. Or I see a few kind of raising the case for Trent.
Yeah, I think he's been a bit off last couple of weeks, Trent, really. But yeah, you can make a case.
You want to try watching my right backs, mate, I'm telling you.
It all depends. I mean, at FPL, it all depends where you are, doesn't it? And what are you in mini leagues? Are you chasing mini leagues? And if you do, then you want that differential, don't you? And, everyone's going to go Salah, and if you need to make up points, then you go Trent. So you try something a little bit different. And like Andy said, you've got to weigh it up. If you've got a bench boost that actually looks as appealing as a Salah, which is the reason I definitely said triple captain, because I used it in game week 1 on purpose, my bench boost, because I didn't want to worry about it through the season, because always I've cocked up thinking about a bench boost at some point through the season. So I just thought, I'm getting it out of the way, and it's not coming into play as the season goes on. But yeah, I mean, Trent, possibly. We could keep a couple of clean sheets, but you want the ceiling, don't you? But again, it's a differential.
So let's make the case against then. So since the hat-trick at Old Trafford in game week 9, Jared Bowen, has scored 39 points more than Mo Salah. Trent Alexander-Arnold scored 31 more points than Mo Salah. Cancelo scored more. Sterling scored more. Jota has scored more points. It's worth saying, obviously, Salah was away for AFCON and stuff. And Andy Robertson has also scored more. James Maddison has scored more points than Salah. And I noticed Bernardo Silva and James Ward-Prowse have scored the same amount of FPL points since that hat-trick at Old Trafford. Are we stuck in our mind about kind of this Permacap idea and it must be Mo Salah?
Possibly. That's what FPL does to you, doesn't it? You remember the good and forget the bad. I didn't know that until you'd said. The way I see it with Salah, I watch Liverpool every week, and he may not be scoring, but he's shit hot at the moment. He really is in form. His touch is unreal. he's not dropped off. He's as good as I've seen him at Liverpool, to be honest, from a form point of view. And if he scored 3 against Norwich and 3 against Leeds, I wouldn't be surprised. He's that good. Not that it's going to happen.
No, of course.
But
it could though, Dan, and that scares me.
For a bit of clarity in terms of points per start in FPL since that Old Trafford hat-trick, Trent Alexander-Arnold 7 points per game, Mo Salah 6.1.
Yeah.
Jota 6.7 per start.
I love Jota. I've had him since the start. I've had the same 3 until Salah went to AFCON. I changed him for De Bruyne, but he's going straight back in, and I'll stick with all 3 anyway. So the way I see it, I'll still captain Salah, but I'm covered with Jota and I'm covered with Trent. So they're not going to hurt me too much. I mean, I'm doing shit anyway this year, so I'm not really that bothered. But
are you free hitting 27, Dan, as well?
I've absolutely no idea. I don't even know what's going on, to be honest. I've been so disengaged with it this season. I know about Liverpool. I watch every single game of Liverpool, but from an FPL point of view, I've been so busy with work, moving house, rupturing my Achilles. I've just had a shite year, really. So it's just FPL's been second place, really. So 27, I've been asking a few people for advice. I need to jump on a couple of James's streams, I think, and on the podcast.
No, jump on someone else's, mate.
No. I trust your word over others, James, still. I've really no idea. I've got 1 free hit left, and I've got my triple captain, and I've got my wild card. But I'm not doing great. I'm about 100k, I think. I'm having a shite time of it.
Okay, that still sounds pretty good, Dan.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fine.
free hit 30, I think, for you, Dan. But based on what you've got, I think.
This week, I forgot to change my captain. So the captain's on Cancelo and Vice is De Bruyne. Neither of them played. Yeah, I thought, I'll have time in the morning. One thing led to another. I looked at my, and I was like, oh shit, it's 11. I've missed the deadline now. And yeah, it's been like that this season. I've done that a few times.
You never know, mate. Ronaldo or Bruno might get sent off on Tuesday night. You might outscore him, mate.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'd have probably brought in Fernandes maybe and captained him if I was to make a change. So it might hurt me, it might not. But I feel a bit like Sudge this year. We're missing deadlines and stuff.
Good afternoon, Sudge. If you were free hitting, Dan, which 3 Liverpool?
Same 3.
So you're Trent, Jota, and Salah. Jota over Robertson for you? There's a big debate at the moment. Yeah. Robertson's also 6.7 points per game since that match.
Yeah, he's looking good as well, Robertson, now. He's playing as well as he has all season, just recently. But yeah, I think Jota's just value for money with that guy. He's unreal. I think, he's good. And he'll get minutes and rested. But he's just got an eye for goal, hasn't he? He just knows where it is. He'll stay in my team all season.
He's going to be like a 10.5 forward or so next year, I think, isn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think no doubt about it.
That would be quite interesting. Andy, would you be saying 3 if you were going down that route for Liverpool?
I think I would be, yeah, on the free hit. For me, even if Jota doesn't start, if he plays like the last 30 minutes, he's capable of hauling like a brace. There's no question. If you see him warming up and he's got 30 minutes in him, you're thinking, brilliant, love that. And against Leeds and Norwich at home, yeah, you only need a cameo from him. I think that Leeds will probably still score at Anfield. So the 2 clean sheets, I wouldn't necessarily say are nailed particularly.
It's like Trent and Robertson could easily be rotated as well. I think particularly for the Norwich game at the weekend. I imagine that Klopp will definitely want to play his strongest team against Leeds, or close to. Forwards might vary a little bit. But I think in terms of defence and midfield, he'll definitely want to pick his strongest 11. Saturday's the game where, subject to what happens against Inter, I think he might chop it up a little bit. So you're quite right, Andy. A Robertson or Trent, for example, might only start against Leeds. And I agree with you. I think you fancy Leeds to score in the majority of games. If you were free hitting, Andy, how many Leeds?
Oh, none. No,
not even Raphinha.
Not even Rafinha. I couldn't risk it. The fact that he did get taken off, I wouldn't risk it. I think there's better options at his price. You've got people like Saka and a couple of Arsenal guys, and even Bowen single looks fine, to be honest.
You wouldn't
So-
sell Raphinha though. You wouldn't consider.
No,
God,
I don't.
it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, you take it. If I own him, I'm going to keep him. But I don't think you buy Rafinha ahead of this double.
Any love for Alien or CotC at 4.3?
No way. Wouldn't touch any leads at the moment. Unfortunately.
What about Daniel James, ex-Lively?
The one forward that's been impressing me is Rodrigo.
Well, thanks for clarifying Daniel James. Let's move straight on.
Yeah, Daniel James for me. He's got 2 goals. He got 2 goals recently, which is good to see. I don't trust him as a finisher. I wish Gelhardt was playing, and I don't understand why that isn't the case. I think Gelhardt's a better forward and striker than what James can do. James is, for me, they look like they've spent the money on him, so it looks like they have to play him. But I think Gelhardt's a better player, and I don't get why he's not getting the minutes.
Do you think he could be stubborn like that, Bielsa? I've paid the money. I've got to play him.
Yeah, perhaps. Like, this is my signing. I told the board to buy him. Maybe that's the case.
So go on then. Talk about Rodrigo to us.
6.2. I just think there's not many forwards, right? I mean, Daniel James is a midfielder playing at top, but you don't want to waste a midfield spot in your FPL team because there's so many good options. But the forwards, there's hardly any options at all. So Rodrigo's got a double. We're still attacking team. We've still got Harrison, Raphinha that can still create stuff. And Rodrigo looks like he's picking up some good positions. His touch seems better in the last few games. And for me, he's been the best player as well. So at 6.2, if you want to think, okay, my Watford guys are not doing anything, Rodrigo's going to get you chances. Rodrigo's going to play. And there's no reason why he can't get a goal in bonus. So
go on then, Andy. All right. So let's just say I'm sitting here with one free transfer. I've got Dennis and King.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it, are you?
Yeah.
Nah, yeah. I'm going to go and get James Tarkowski, mate. It's way more fun.
Rodrigo's my punt. I mean, I've got to say something, haven't I? So
I don't. No, you haven't got to, mate. You can just tell the truth. I think there's interest in it in the sense that it doesn't look like Bamford's going to be back anytime soon. You certainly raised a valid point that we all agree with at the moment, that all the forwards are basically shit in and around that value. Don't really want to go near it. Okay, why not punt someone whom? Okay, the double's obviously tough, United and Liverpool. Then it's Spurs at home. Then it's Leicester away. Neither of those fixtures are as difficult as they look, certainly from an offensive perspective for you. Then it's Norwich at home. Then we know that you're going to play in game week 30 away to Wolves. Admittedly, offensively, that's obviously a really tough fixture. Then Southampton 31. That could be like a basketball match. And then it's Watford away in 32. Then you're at the double of 33. Which you'd be very unlikely to double it. You're actually scheduled to play Chelsea. You could even blank actually in that week. Although you've still got the fixture to arrange with Villa at home, haven't you?
Yeah, that's the first time we played Villa this week, wasn't it? So
yes. Yeah. So there's every chance that could go into 33 or so. So you could even at the end of that run have a double as well, even. So the problem is, I find, and I was discussing this with Morpay this week, is he goes in, it's a nice double, and then they've got good fixture. You never get rid of him. But then what does it matter? They're all rubbish, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, for the long term, you go Broja, perhaps, I think, as a cheap forward option. So. But it's the double that always tempts you, isn't it? So
would you, in all honesty, would you rather buy Broja or Rodrigo this week?
Because it's a double, double just tempts me. I think Broja obviously was outstanding forward, great value. I'd still punt on Rodrigo for the double and then move to Broja. I think just for one week this week, as Leeds do have a double, and you're looking to do a free transfer. If you're stuck for a free transfer and you've got 2 Watford guys, I know they double as well, but I think Rodrigo's got more.
I want to know how Rodrigo's in 1.1% of dead teams. I mean, even dead teams would have tried to sell him, wouldn't they? I don't mind it as a punt, Andy. He obviously has played 90 minutes in the last 3 games. It's worth saying as well. I wanted to ask you, Andy, about what happened Saturday at Everton. Sorry, mate. But I was really interested in terms of the way you played. So we know that commonly when you come up against the front 2, you'll play a back 3. If it's 1 through the middle, it's a back 4. It feels to me like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I didn't watch the game, that you saw the Everton lineup and went, shit, they're going to play 2 up front through the middle. I'm going to change this to a back 3 and I'm going to leave Mateus Klick to get absolutely swamped in midfield. Is that right?
It is horrible. It is really, really bad. When you have Click, who hasn't got any pace, the midfield just seems so open. And players like Van der Beek had the freedom of Goodison. Honestly, the amount of time he had on the ball to do anything with the ball is just frightening. And it's a huge space because Bielsa likes the wide guys and to keep them wide as well. So Harris and Raphinha aren't really tucking in to help. They're just out there wide. It is a huge space in the middle, and that's where they had so much joy, honestly. And just
I'm not one for overlooking touch maps and stuff, but the distance between Click and the back three is a little bit scary. Just looking at average positions in the game, you go, shit, I bet Everton have had loads of space in the 10 position now.
Yeah, I mean, CotC was meant to be like in there kind of as the man to watch the midfield as well and kind of be in front of the other two a bit more. But I don't think that happened either. I think we just got swamped completely.
No, I think because they went with the two up front, they ended up getting pinned as a back three, basically, is what happened. There's this, when you watch goals like Ramsey's goals for Villa against you, Andy, do you watch games like that and think, I wish we'd just change sometimes?
Yeah. You just watch the players like, it's man for man, and then it's like Ramsey's completely open.
You can see it happening from the opposition half.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Coutinho's run forward and it's like ball across. Who's with Ramsey? And it's just the way. And Gordon was similar on Saturday. Just he was, because he's got pace and just can get on the ball and do so much with it. It's just frightening.
With that in mind, let's say Liverpool go with their strongest three against you in midfield. What we saying, Dan? Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson, would that be the strongest three?
I think that would be the preferred three. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the strongest three. I think Endo's been way off this season.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Thiago definitely, Fabinho definitely. And then another, it could be Curtis Jones, could be Elliott. He's played on the right there a few times. But it could well be Henderson as well. I mean, that would be the preferred three. I think Klopp with the experience, but I've not rated Endo this season that much.
He brings so much else to you though in terms of the leadership and stuff as well, doesn't he? So crucial. Yeah, we saw that a lot last season when you took him out that midfield position. Yeah. It was a real problem for you
when he's not playing well. Yeah.
The reason I asked that is because I think if there was to be a midfield runner, it's probably Henderson. And we're not going to talk about Henderson from an FPL perspective for obvious reasons in terms of there's definitely 4 better assets who it's worth you paying more money for. And although Fabinho's on a bit of a goal scoring streak, we're not going to recommend that either. But no. I thought it would lead to an interesting quick conversation, Andy, about Bruno Fernandes. So you've definitely got a problem with midfield runners. If they run off your man and get through, we saw that with Bruno, obviously, as far away as game week 1. We saw it with Jacob Ramsey, particularly last week as well. Is there any case for, and again, we're obviously recording this prior to the Brighton game, could you make any case for Bruno owners to hold on ahead of the Leeds game?
I was going to mention that we need to start Forshaw. I don't understand why Forshaw's not there as someone that can be the Phillips position in front of the defence and protect us more. I think he's decent at doing that and breaking up the play. So hopefully Forshaw comes back in, because I think if that's the case, Click hasn't got any legs, so he can't do much.
Well, that's a real problem when you play man-to-man and your midfield, you're saying your midfielder's not got no legs and he can't chase the runners. It's obvious what's going to happen, isn't it?
It makes zero sense to me. But Forshaw's got the legs and Forshaw can keep going for 90 minutes. So like Bruno, he's fit. So if Forshaw comes in, I think it makes it more difficult for Bruno, because I can see that to be the man-to-man marking. But if you look at game week 1, when we lost 5-1 to him and Bruno was steaming through, there's a case. Yeah, definitely a case. I mean, I own Bruno, but need to get to Salah. So that's my sell. But I think
is there any other way of you doing it, just out of interest?
No, there's not particularly. I can't do Son to Salah. But I wouldn't anyway, I don't think. It's got to be Bruno and Salah, but I don't. They could destroy us again, because if Bruno does what he did in game week 1 and finds those pockets of space and got time, then he could do stuff. But I think Forshaw's got to come in for the Manchester United game.
I think he probably will, in fairness.
Surely.
that's got to change the impact. Certainly,
I mean,
for you a little bit.
Yeah, I like the 4-1-4-1. I know it's better when we play Phillips, but that for me is always the better formation.
It's been more 4-2-3-1, I think, for a lot of this season. Is that right?
Yeah. I prefer the 4-1-4-1, but that's because Phillips can play the role in his own. So I think they're trying to cover Phillips with two men. And then we lose a man somewhere else. Yeah.
I think that if you'd had Phillips and Bamford fit all season, mate, we're probably not talking about are you looking over your shoulder. I'm not sure we'd be talking about are you looking at Europe, but I don't think it would be quite as bad.
No.
They're two absolutely key and pivotal players for you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, 3 more wins, 3 draws. That's what I'm looking at. 35 points. We'll be fine.
You'll get one of them in game week 27, mate. Right, let's do some predictions before we finish. Dan, Norwich at home, Saturday. Go on, give us a correct score, mate.
3-0.
And for the Leeds game?
3-0.
Andy, Manchester United on Sunday. Big game for you, mate. I know it's your biggest game. Go on.
Big game. 2-2.
Like it. Desmond. And for Liverpool away?
4-1 to Liverpool.
To Leeds. Going to go and run riot. Rodrigo's going to get a hat-trick in front of the goal. Yeah. Okay, interesting. I'm going to... do you know what? I'm going to go 3-0 Norwich as well. I think I agree with Dan. I'm going to go 3-1, I think, against Leeds. I'll go with you, Andy. I'll back you to score. I think you'll get something on Sunday against United. I just think the game's so massive for you. That's going to be a proper atmosphere. First Leeds Man United league game at Ellen Road for, well, what we saying, 18 years or so, Andy? If
16, 16,
right.
17.
Certainly in front of a crowd anyway. So that's going to be a really big game. There's a reason it's a 2:00 kickoff rather than a 4:30 kickoff. I think the police have said to Sky, you ain't having that at 4:30, mate. No way. So I'm going to go 1-1, I think. Leeds United. But I also think that game particularly could be 3-1 either way or so, 3-2 either way. Could be anything. It was a really poor game last year, wasn't it, Andy? It was 0-0. I want to say. It was the same day as the Carabao Cup finals. I didn't watch the game.
Was it a poor game? I don't think. There's a lot of chances, wasn't there? I can't remember.
No, you watched it, not me.
Yeah, no, I can't remember. 0-0.
Andy can't remember why he's not triple captain next week, but he might do. Guys, absolute pleasure. Thank you both so much for your time. Dan, where can everyone follow you on the Bird app, mate?
Yeah, at FPL_local Lloyd. That's me.
Good man. And for yourself, Andy?
It's FPL_tactician.
Good man. Thank you both so much. Good luck for the game week and for the rest of the season. Me and Suj will be back tomorrow with our Sky Fantasy Football podcast. And Thursday, I'm not looking forward to the Arsenal versus Wolves clash of correspondence with Adam Pritchard and Bradley Parker, but I'm still going to do it. Other than that, thanks again to Dan and to Andy. Good luck for the weekend, guys. Cue music, please, man child.